All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to another great episode on your favorite political talk show, The Truth, with Ben Jokes. Breaking news: the Nigerian national grid has collapsed again. Everything is just collapsing under this administration. And when you find out the amount of money that has been putatively invested into maintaining this national grid, you will weep for this country. What we are seeing today is a tragedy. Around 2012 to 2015, or should I say before the APC took over, national grid collapse was such a scarce occurrence that many Nigerians didn't even know what the national grid was because they rarely heard about it. But APC took over and grid collapse has now become our tradition as a people. What a shame. If you look at where we were 11 years ago and you compare it to where we are today, we obviously haven't made any progress as a nation in more than 10 years. Since the APC took over in 2015, they have not improved any aspect of our country. But they didn't leave it stagnated either. They actually worsened every single aspect. What a disaster. Now, let us look at the top stories. First is that very obnoxious, callous, and wicked statement coming out of the presidency to the masses of this country. And next is that big update on FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. Wike has been diagnosed with congestive heart failure and has traveled abroad for treatment. Before I show you details of these top stories and how Nigerians reacted, let me quickly show you this video. In this video, the speaker spoke about the issue of early campaign, which violates the campaign laws of Nigeria. He insinuated that a candidate might not be aware that people are putting out campaign posters for him. But I can emphatically say that this is not true in the case of Tinubu. Let's watch this video.
Clarity is very important. It's not just for us to just be emotional about some of these issues. We are saying, where do we start? What do we call election campaign? Many billboards are being posted here and there, even without the knowledge of the person involved. Because there are a lot of well-wishers in Nigeria. You do any act of goodwill within a community, and they feel, oh, let's promote such a person. You have a birthday, and even without telling anybody, you see your faces on the pages of the newspaper. And thank God, that's like what the First Lady just said 3 weeks ago on her birthday, that, oh, she doesn't want any kind of advert. Such money should be channeled into a project of the National Library. You see, these are things that people will do even without you asking or telling them. So that is area that we all must talk together as stakeholders. It is how to really define this issue that we are saying now. Our job is to put into the Constitution or the Electoral Act what the public wants, what the general public wants. It is the aggregation of these thoughts that we are already discussing now. I cannot say this is what it must be. The only thing I can talk about now is what the law says at the present. And if there is going to be any amendment, it's going to be what we all collectively agree. We are your voice. We are acting on your behalf. So it is for you to recommend, as a person, what do you feel? If a poster is being put around on my behalf, what should it be against me, or should the people in the broadcast company or the advertising community should be regulated in such a way that before you post anything, then there must be an endorsement from me as the beneficiary. So these are areas we should look into, so that we don't create a situation where the law will be used against the minority. That is the area I personally feel we should guide against.
You heard that. The speaker there trying to say that some of the candidates may not have approved some of the campaign posters that are being put out on their behalf. Of course, we know that Tinubu is the only person already actively campaigning as it stands in this country. And I can say emphatically that he is aware of all the posters that are being put out for him. Only a naive person will think differently. Tompolo met Tinubu at Aso Rock, and days later, Tinubu's door-to-door campaign posters, sponsored by the same Tompolo, flooded the FCT, even though the people of the FCT have said they would beat anyone who knocks their door to tell them to vote Tinubu. How about the endorsement charade by Akpabio and co at the APC summit that Tinubu attended? Was that also done without his knowledge? Ganduje traveled to Gombe to endorse Tinubu without Shetima, and we saw the uproar that caused. Are you telling us that Tinubu was also not aware of that? Come on, man. We are not naive. The truth is, Tinubu knows that he has been rejected by Nigerians, so he's trying to begin forcing himself on the people again so that he can mentally defeat the people. He wants to do it early so that he can mentally get the people to accept that he will be there after 2027. He also wants to create a situation to support his plans to rig, put your billboards everywhere 1 year before other candidates, so that when you rig massively, you can claim that you got the votes because you campaigned more rigorously than others. But all these early campaigns and all these gimmicks will change nothing if results are transferred from the polling unit to the IREV, or if Nigerians defend their votes. The rate at which Nigerians have rejected Tinubu, all these gimmicks cannot work if the right thing is done. And that is why we are preaching that the opposition should begin to focus more on this issue of transfer of results from polling unit to the IREV and other forms of mobilization that can get votes to count. Now, let us look at the top stories. First is that callous and wicked statement coming out of Aso Rock, and next is that big one on the FCT minister Nyesom Wike, diagnosed with congestive heart failure and now receiving treatment abroad. Let's start by taking that update from Aso Rock. Look at how the papers reported it. Federal government defends 5% fuel surcharge, says not to burden Nigerians. The chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, said the proposed fuel surcharge is intended to generate a dedicated fund for Nigeria's deteriorating roads, not to add extra strain on households. What an insult. This is stupid and heartless at the same time. You have imposed 5% tax on petrol. Definitely, the price of petrol per liter is going to increase. And you are saying you have not done this to add extra burden on households. What do you mean by that? It's like beating a child and saying you don't intend for the child to cry. The price will increase. So how will there not be more burden on households? What is wrong with these people? You say you want to use the money for road constructions. How about the loans that you've been taking? How about the subsidy removal savings? Why can't you use those ones for road construction? The 15 trillion naira that you budgeted for the coastal highway, why did you do that? Why didn't you put that money into road constructions? What is wrong with these human beings? And this tweet here says, so the 5% surcharge is not to burden Nigerians but foreigners, right? You can say that to the dogs. I'm telling you, is it foreigners that will buy the petrol? Is it not Nigerians that will buy the petrol at an increased rate? And this tweet here says, these people are actually stupid, or they don't feel the brunt of the masses. For the first time, Nigeria do not even have a middle class. We haven't recovered from the fuel hike, subsidy scam, and bad economic policies. You want to tax Nigeria. What have you done for the people? That is the truth. What have you done to improve the lives of the people? Every time is about increasing taxes. When have you sat down as a government to think that how can we even bring down prices of items? This is heartbreaking for the Nigerian people. And this tweet here by Chima says, I hope the federal government is seeing what is going on in Nepal. Chima is talking about the ongoing revolution in the Asian country Nepal caused by all these kind of things. As we speak in Nepal, politicians have fled the country in every way possible because thousands, hundreds of thousands of the people flooded the streets in a mighty revolution. And he's saying that if Nigerian politicians don't change their ways, we might see that soon in this country. They are not going to change their ways. It is the people that are now left to step up with a revolution. And just as Nigerians were yet reacting to that update on Nyesom Wike began making the rounds. Look at how the papers reported it. Exclusive. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike travels to UK for medical attention 4 years after saying no need for overseas care. The Minister of Federal Capital Territory Nyesom Wike has traveled to the United Kingdom for medical attention, reporters has learnt. Sources privy to minister's health status told reporters that Wike has been diagnosed with congestive heart failure and is currently under medical management. Doctors reportedly recommended a bypass surgery, but Wike declined the procedure over concerns about being away from his duties for an extended period and the possibility of being replaced during his absence. Wike has traveled to the UK to seek medical attention, one of the sources said. They said he's got congestive heart failure, which is being managed. He refused to do the bypass surgery recommended because he doesn't want to be gone for too long or replaced. The minister's decision to seek treatment abroad comes amid growing public interest in his health and capacity to continue in office. In April 2021, Wike, the then governor of Rivers State, declared that he would not travel abroad for medical treatment, asserting that all the necessary equipment for examination and care was available at the government house. According to Wike, if you give our people the required environment and give them the facilities, the tools to work with, there is no need for us to travel overseas. But as we speak, he is in the United Kingdom tending to his congestive heart failure disease. About a month ago, it was former APC chairman Abdullahi Ganduje who was rushed overseas for treatment, and as we speak, Tinubu is somewhere overseas and it is not unconnected with health. Now, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike diagnosed with congested heart failure amongst other illnesses. He has rejected surgery because he doesn't want to be away for 3 months. You can see that Wike is so power drunk that even his own life is not enough to stop him from desiring office. This is serious. The other day, this same man collapsed and he was rushed out of Nigeria, and when he returned, his hands and legs were not in normal position, but he denied it. How long will he continue to play to the gallery? This is what you get when human beings see themselves as gods amongst men, and then they do so much evil that the world begins to anticipate their downfall. And that is exactly what is happening to Nyesom Wike right now. Because as soon as this update went out, Nigerians began to curse him, calling for worse things to come upon him. And look at how Nigerians reacted. Let's take some of the tweet reactions. This tweet here by Edo Wizard says, "Make he go kpai for Nigeria hospital so we can laugh at him, abi? This is even the wrongest time to kpai. The thing is, anywhere you kpai in this world, you will still be returned to Nigeria for burial. So if you like, run. It changes nothing." But Edo Wizard there wishing him death already. And this tweet by Adam says he has gotten the cancer in APC that he once talked about. Of course, Wike once said that the APC is a cancer, and then he went ahead to rig elections for them and join them. So Adams is saying he has finally gotten that cancer he spoke about. And King here says, "I just wish he will not make it alive." Wow. And to be honest, this is the wish of so many Nigerians for this man. And Young here, who is probably from Rivers State, says, "God of Rumi Precom, make it quick." Young is also calling for Wike to pay the ultimate price. This man has just, made many Nigerians to hate him. This is a man who was once loved as a politician. And MV10 here says Buhari led the way. This is MV10 also saying Wike should go the same way Buhari went. What a pity. If you begin to look at the opportunity that public office gives us as human beings to actually make a good impression on the society, then you wonder how Nigerian politicians have managed to turn public office into a place where they attract curses to themselves. It is so shocking. But the biggest problem with Nyesom Wike is not actually his performance. I'm not saying that he was such a wonderful governor, but what I'm trying to say is the main issue that Nigerians have with him is not with his performance as governor, but with what he did during the 2023 presidential elections when he stole the people's votes. It is unforgivable. Nigerians will never forgive him for what he did in Rivers State. So, from a politician, a governor who was once revered for boldly speaking the truth to Buhari, then Wike has now become the most hated, perhaps the most hated politician in Nigeria. He's down with congestive heart failure, and all Nigerians had to give him are curses and evil calls. And the funny thing is that the so-called APC supporters, the few APC supporters that we have online, didn't even come out to offer prayer. They abandoned the updates completely. This is something about being on that wrong side. You will not have any support. Anybody you are, whether you are a comedian, a musician, or an entertainer of any form, or you own a big platform as an influencer in Nigeria, once you begin to show support for the APC, you begin to tend towards the APC, Nigerians will begin to unfollow you immediately. They will begin to withdraw from you immediately, and you will see that generally the public will turn against you. That is to tell you that all these things, all these results of by-elections that they declare for the APC, all those things are lies. In actual sense, Nigerians have rejected this party and most of the things associated with it. All that we need is just a credible process, and I am telling you, there is no way the APC continues beyond 2027. This is why it becomes so imperative for the opposition to focus on ensuring that the process is credible. Anyway, make I leave am here. We'll keep our fingers crossed and see how news unfold about Nyesom Wike. Make I still enter town, make I go get some ogbonge political news wey una go like. Why? Because of una na I dey here. So don't go away. Don't go away.